Blows here as well, looking at the papers, focusing on tensions today, aren't they, between Washington and Moscow. Now, this is after a US pilot shot down a Syrian government jet over the weekend. It's actually the first time, isn't it, this has happened in the country's six-year war?
It sure is, and it's news, as you can imagine, in the United States. The Wall Street Journal says that Russia has stepped up its rhetoric. Yesterday, Moscow threatened to track American warplanes in Syria. You can see this article here in the Wall Street Journal that says that American forces are increasingly at risk of direct confrontation with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his allies from Russia and Iran. Now, let's take a look at the Russian press as well. Different take on this story, as you can imagine. This is Russia Today that interviews a political scientist and author, Kaveh Afrasiabi, who is very critical of the United States. You can see this quote from this interview. The U.S. is becoming a de facto defense shield for Islamic State in Syria. According to this commentator, the U.S. is increasingly accelerating the tempo against Syrian government forces.
What about Arabic papers? What are they saying about this, Flo? Quite a lot of concern?
Quite a lot of concern indeed. It's interesting to look at a couple of articles. I got some help from our Arab language desk here. You can see this is an article in Rai Al-Yum, a pan-Arab paper based in London, that takes a very clear position talking about an American provocation here. But this piece in Al-Hayat is a little bit more measured. Lots of concern in this article. Talks about an unprecedented spiral, a rise in tensions in what it calls this confrontation between the U.S. and Russia. And this article fears that the situation could really get out of hand and that Russia and the U.S. could end up fighting directly on the ground in Syria.
OK, well, let's move on to something completely different now. Pope is in the UK, focusing on what authorities there are treating as a terrorist attack in North London. A van ploughing into a group of worshippers near a mosque in Finsbury Park. 47-year-old man has been named as the suspect there.
That's right. And here at France 24, we have decided not to publish his photo. But if you look at many British papers, you will indeed see a photo of that 47-year-old suspect, father of four. You can see here the front page of The Guardian in my hand here, which focuses on another man that's getting a lot of attention. It's actually the imam from that mosque in Finsbury Park, Mohammed Mahmoud, who has been praised for intervening to actually protect the attacker from an angry mob. You can see the headline here, "Fresh Terror in London as a van drives into a crowd at the mosque." Now, authorities are treating this as a lone wolf terrorist attack.
And inside the paper, the London Mayor Sadiq Khan paying real tribute to that imam.
Indeed. Let's take a look at this article in The Guardian. It's talking about how, it's been an extremely difficult few months for our city and for Londoners. You've had several terrorist attacks, of course, and then you've also had that terrible Grenfell Tower fire. You can see this article by Sadiq Khan saying the best response we can show after these horrific events is to celebrate the values that unite us. The Finsbury Park imam's heroism shows where London can find its strength.
And The Independent, they've got an exclusive article on a dramatic rise, haven't they, Flo, in the threat of far-right extremism in the UK.
Indeed, and the timing of this article is, of course, very interesting. You can see they're talking about how the number of far-right extremists flagged to the government terror unit has soared 30% in the past year. This spike in cases follows a dramatic rise in the number of hate crimes reported against black and minority ethnic groups and religions.
Brexit negotiations kicked off yesterday. UK's Brexit Secretary, David Davis, and the European Commission's chief negotiator, Michel Barnier, all smiles in Brussels?
They sure will. They sure were, rather. David Davis, he said that the talks got off to a promising start. You can see this article in Les Echos saying that the EU and London are setting off on the same foot. Now, apparently, the two men shared their love of mountaineering yesterday during a lunch. David Davis gave Michel Barnier a book on mountaineering, and Barnier gave Davis a fancy carved wood walking stick. But you can see this cartoon in the Times making fun of this shared interest and these smiles in front of the camera, etc. You can see we have a shared interest in hill walking. It's called mountain. And then he says, no, it's mountaineering. Hill walking, mountaineering. Surely they're the same thing. No, they're not. So apparently these talks getting off to a great start might have some obstacles down the way.
That's what the cartoon's saying anyway. Now, finally, today, it's World Refugee Day, a day when papers focus on the plight of refugees.
And let's just end with a cartoon here in China Daily. Of course, it's June 20th, 6th, the month June 20, the date. You can see this dove, olive branches, a heart there, wishing the best for these refugees. Of course, we've been telling very different tragic stories in the press. Lots of angles on this issue if you're interested.
Okay, Flo, thank you very much. Flo and Yuka on France 24.